episode is brought by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Red Raptor Writes. Well boys, we made it. We're finally here at the final batch of Land Before Time movies, the final 3. It's been a long road to get here. So many entries, so many songs, so many sharp teeth and earthquakes. I'm gonna miss talking about this series because I've had a lot of fun making these. It's a series I have tons of nostalgia for, even if I'm trying to keep my reviews as fair as possible. Whether they were good or bad, it's still fun engaging with such beloved films. The subject of today's video, however, are not so beloved, maybe in a morbid Stockholm Syndrome way, or so bad it's good territory. We'll have to see as we dig this up. Let's start this bad batch, if you will, with the Land Before Time 12, The Great Day of Flyers. Once again by Charles Grosvenor, still joined by Michael Tavera composing, as well as many returning actors lending their voices. At this point, all there is left to the series is dishing out mediocre slop to make money off of kids. Sure, Hollywood is a business and you'd always want movies to make money, but at least there was passion in these products before. Now, watching these, my mind has become so numb, I can't feel you there. I've become so tired, so much more aware. I'm so glad I have those Dino Doc reviews and Paleo Myths to break up my upload schedule, cause if I had to watch 11 and 12 back to back, I might have gone comatose. You probably get the picture. The Great Day of Flyers is pretty bad, but once again, still slightly manages to be a prolonged uncanny mess, rather than a total affront to the laws of both God and man like some other films. This installment once again follows Petrie, which worked extremely well in the past, so why not? Rather than dealing with his nefarious uncle, Petrie is worried about the upcoming Great Day of Flyers, a rite of passage for pterosaurs as they demonstrate their ability to soar together in a tight formation, which makes sense for long distance travel, saving energy by using the lift generated from the flyer in front of them. It works for modern birds, so it would be useful for Petrie and his family to learn. Too bad he keeps screwing up, nearly getting everyone killed. Soon, a newcomer arrives yet again, and because I guess the casting director only has like 5 numbers on his phone, Rob Paulsen gets called for another easy paycheck. Guido is the guest in the Great Valley, a funky-looking Microraptor who doesn't know what his purpose is in life. Hey look, a character who isn't named after their genus. Oh, come on! I will give him credit. Guido is far more tolerable than Mo, Tria, or those freeloading tiny sauruses. So to keep it brief, he helps Petrie with his test, discovers his own flight abilities, and of course, all goes well in the end. The message for this one, I guess, is to be yourself, and that it's okay to be different, since we have a Microraptor on a journey of self-discovery, while Petrie learns to fly in his own unique style, rather than fitting into formation. Already, alarms should be going off, because this message is usually stupid brain rot. First, I'll say this much about the message of being yourself. It's simply incomplete. What we should be teaching kids is to be the best version of yourself. Some things about yourself you can change and should change. Some things you can change and shouldn't change, and other aspects you cannot change. Learn the difference, then use this to create the best version of yourself you can be. Gosh, I hate that mentality of, I'm perfect just the way I am. You're the problem for not accepting me. This line of thought has created millions of entitled, narcissistic brats. No, you're not perfect. You have many flaws that should be changed for the better. Stop complaining and work on yourself. I'm not getting on my soapbox just to complain about our morally bankrupt society. It does apply to the Great Day of Flyers. This entire test is to show that you can fly in formation as a group because yet again it has very practical applications for long distance flight. By just doing his own thing, Petrie has not proven his ability, instead being antithetical to the whole point of the test. For most of it, he's either zooming around on his own or showing off tricks. Next up, we get to Guido, who's so unique that he has no ability to function. He's seemingly a grown man, but is so incompetent that he can't even feed himself. Seriously, how have you gotten this far without even knowing what food is? Being so moronic that you cannot function on a basic survival level is obviously not good and should not be celebrated as being different. Those are only 2 of the 3 plots going on. At the same time is a completely disconnected side plot going back to the 3-horn family. Now, I already aired out my grievances on what's been done with them, along with the addition of Tria. All that was in my previous video when reviewing 11. Sure, I wish the series handled these changes better, but now that they're here, well, what good stories can be told? Sarah's side plot only vaguely has to do with being different or unique or whatever other nonsense you want to throw in there, since she no longer feels special. I actually found her conflict much more compelling than the other 2, well, on paper, being more about the changes we have to go through in life, even when it scares us. Tria and Mr. 3-horn are having a baby. A single baby because maybe the Struthiomimus got to feast finally. And Sarah feels put on the back burner. She'll have to take on the new role of an older sister while sharing the attention she's been drowned in before. This story I can definitely get behind. If the rest of the film was about dealing with changes, good or bad, then we might have had another W on our hands. But nope. The execution isn't great though. She is still pretty annoying and a borderline abusive partner. But it's a strong man being abused, so haha, isn't that funny? That's not concerning at all. Plus, this plotline has to compete with the other 2, so it's relegated to the background. Everything comes together in the end when the new baby Trisha falls into a river, needing Guido, Peachy, and his siblings to save her. A nice moment, but this climax felt pretty jarring to me, coming out of nowhere. The climax should be the highest point of tension in a plot where all the tension that has been building and building through the conflicts gets released in some grand display. Here it's just, oh no, something else happened for us to deal with. The exam itself should have been the climax, or the only climax, rather than trying to build something else up to be solved. Like the other sequels, we get 3 new songs in 12, to varying degrees of success. Sarah's song here, Things Change, kinda hits. For the first time in a while, I heard a song and went, alright, this is pretty good. As for the other 2, One of a Kind is a song about, well, being unique. If sung well, it could have been okay, if not forgettable, but the creators decided it had to be sung in the most ear-grinding voices possible. It's painful.
One of a kind. It can be lonely when you're one of a kind.
Oh my god!
It's awful!
Finally, there's Flip, Flap, and Fly, which is sung during the Great Day of Flyers. No lie, it's kind of annoying. And one weird problem that I don't think I've ever seen in an animated movie before is how some singing voices just straight up don't match their character. Well, okay, it has been done intentionally for comedic effect. Seeing this unironically makes the songs unintentionally hilarious. I also gotta point out how everyone in this scene is either actively murdering or complacent in murder. Yeah, they're all horrible. For some strange reason, the filmmakers chose during this song to focus on the journey of a pteranodon egg. While Petrie and his siblings are flip, flapping, and flying, this egg is forced from its nest to drop, drowning and dying. This egg is put through hell and surely should have been smashed or drowned, yet no one seems to care, only torturing the unborn child further.
That was horrible! Your wish is horrible! You're horrible!
All of you killers should either be banished or put to death. You make Uncle Tyranno look like a saint. Aside from the musical numbers, 2 other scenes specifically grinded my gears. For most of the runtime, Guido doesn't know he can fly, but the night before the test, he goes off sleepwalking and sleep flying around the Great Valley, headed straight for his own demise several times until prehistoric pals save his butt. It already wasn't a good scene, but it goes on forever. YouTube clocks this at 11 minutes 24 seconds. out of an 81-minute movie. That means over 1/8 of the runtime is devoted to this stupid scene. They're giving the cave scenes a run for their money and time wasting. Clearly, there was not enough plot here to fill the runtime, so this part was stretched out like nobody's business. After this enormous sequence, Guido flies off to meet our final of the few positives. We finally get to see a Spinosaurus. Yeah, that's it, Spinosaurus. Plus, it was that classic 2000 Spinosaurus. A simpler animal from a simpler time before constant changes and constant debates over its appearance and ecology. Is it stupid to give it two-fingered tyrannosaur hands?
Yeah.
Am I scraping the bottom of the barrel searching for compliments?
Yeah, guard.
But hey, as dumb and as superficial as it is, the only real dopamine hit I got while watching this was from seeing this beloved theropod finally make an appearance. My compliment here is immediately undercut because of how forced its appearance felt. Rob Paulsen's easy rent money literally sleep flies away into the mysterious beyond and just so happens to land on the sharp tooth, leading to a pointless chase that ends with it getting stuck like a stepsister in a dryer. My beautiful Spinosaurus is ultimately shoehorned in and then wasted.
Look how they massacred my boy.
So that's a lot of words for another entry that I thought was bad, though not aggressively terrible. Yes, there's plenty to dislike and not many redeeming qualities. However, I can't claim that this was a total affront to mankind. My brain was hurt, but not beyond repair. Not quite as bad as 11 or 4, though more aggravating than 8 and 9, so in the bottom 3 for now. Oh man, we are so close to finishing out this 14 movie series. Why? Why are there so many of these? Who was greenlighting new installments for this long? Now we're at number 13, The Wisdom of Friends from 2007. Wait, 2007? We've gone from 1988, a decade before my existence was even a thought, to me being a fully conscious consumer? I don't know about you, but this is weirding me out. And yeah, the series should have closed with number 10. At this point, even Charles Grosvenor was out, taking the role of producer and supervising director after directing each sequel since The Mysterious Island. For this adventure, Jamie Mitchell took the helm. Kenneth Mars is gone too, retiring from the role of Grandpa Longneck after 12, though he did reprise his role for the TV show. You do see the character a few times in the background and traveling with other grown-ups, but he doesn't get any lines, with all the wisdom this time coming from the grandma played by Miriam Flynn, who took over in between 4 and 5. After a decades-long career, Mars passed away in 2011 due to pancreatic cancer, but his work and legacy will always be with us. Another crucial role, Mr. Threehorn, is present if only for a handful of lines. Seriously, he's almost as reduced as Grandpa Longneck. John Ingle has been voicing him since the first sequel, but this is unfortunately his last series appearance, again, aside from the TV show. He also died due to cancer in 2012. When discussing the first few sequels, I commented how much I appreciated their growing roles. One as the voice of reason, and the other as a hilarious contrarian who basically hates everyone and everything. Their performances added so much to the series. A good man takes his wisdom from these guys, and jokes with the boys like him. I get it though, the writers were in a tough situation. The roles could have been preserved just with different actors, like what would be done 9 years later for 14, or severely reduced, practically being written out. Either option might rub off on fans the wrong way, so I don't envy the writers on this one. There were no good answers. Going forward, how is the movie itself? I remember a few comments warning me, thanks for trying to save me, but
Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do.
Now that I'm done, I can say I didn't hate it. Yeah, the dreaded Wisdom of Friends wasn't that bad. Oh, by no definition was this a good movie either. It was bad, but I didn't experience any brain aneurysms. The premise here is pretty simple. Littlefoot is acting like an idiot, nearly getting himself killed, so his grandma almost dies trying to save him. She bestows upon him some wisdom that he takes to heart in order to avoid another incident. In all honesty, I could see something like this working. Littlefoot having his own Uncle Ben moment. Too bad the execution was horrible, with Littlefoot needing to act like a complete idiot.
Good riddance.
Soon, a new group of feathery dinos makes their way into the Great Valley, and the three are sharing one single brain cell. Referred to as yellow bellies in film, Lufa, Doofa, and Fubi, I guess, are supposed to be Bapeosaurus, according to the wiki. At this point, it became clear that the franchise was experiencing a major tonal shift with these big, round, bright, colorful characters designed to appeal to babies. It's always been a series for small children, but at least up until 10, they had more heart and didn't shy away from darker elements. Everyone was able to come and enjoy them, or at least the good ones. Here we're clearly in baby mode. Your opinion of this entry will largely rest on how you feel about these three and their species because, man, they are dumb. So dumb that they can't function for 5 minutes without almost getting themselves lost or killed. It's beyond me how natural selection hasn't wiped them from the face of the earth.
Dinosaurs had their shot, and nature selected them for extinction.
They could easily come across as hyper annoying, so if you hate this one with a burning passion, I can understand. Our main friend group pities these complete morons, so they help the yellow bellies find their family and then a new place to live in the hidden Berry Valley. Mainly why I didn't tear my eyes out is because, well, one, I may have become so numb to the vast quantities of stupid that I've built a tolerance, and two, the script itself and the rest of the cast treat them like the idiots they are. We're not meant to like them or agree with them. Petrie, who used to be the forced comic relief character, spends much of his screen time just low-key roasting the crap out of them. With that said, this is still such a risky move in movies to intentionally have characters so unlikable because even if we're not supposed to like them, their annoyance can leave such a bad taste in the audience's mouths. I would rather take intentionally stupid characters who get mocked over other stupid characters who we're actually supposed to sympathize with. One note I can deduct points for is another muddled moral. Kids are supposed to be learning how there are many kinds of wisdoms, and that different groups do things differently. That there's always something new to be learned from others. I could see this working very well in a dinosaur movie. There was a vast diversity of dinosaurs that roamed our planet, each with varied survival strategies. Littlefoot teaches the yellow bellies basic common sense, while he learns how their defensive strategies of screaming, bouncing, and shoving their heads into the ground can have some value. Also, that it's okay to just trust your senses sometimes, rather than strictly following a plan. Go with the flow, so to speak. Although this lesson could work in another context, the story we're given is about a bunch of morons who constantly get themselves into trouble. We shouldn't be learning from them. Their wisdom works due to luck, because the writers don't want them to die, not because it's equal to Littlefoot's wisdom. Yeah, threat displays and loud noises are used in the animal kingdom to scare off predators, but that's not really how the execution goes. They just sort of act like idiots until something just so happens to work.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
If we were dealing with a competent new society discovered by Littlefoot and friends, the lesson would have worked much better. At least the writers didn't go in a full-blown moral or cultural relativist route. Those ideas would also be detrimental to teach, in my opinion, running to the other extreme after the atrocities of the 19th and 20th century. But there are ideas we can learn from other, hopefully functional societies. During their travels, the protagonists twice encounter a pack of unnamed sharp teeth. I mean, the movies never give any actual dinosaur names, but even on the wiki, there's no assigned genus, which is odd. Maybe I'm wrong, but every other creature has been based on something. My guess is baryonyx, though apparently nobody ever bothered to clarify. And they were alright. Snarled, hissed, chased everyone around for a bit. No strong feelings there. If you know what these were supposed to be, let me know in the comments. I previously mentioned how Ingalls' role was cut dramatically, which is a shame. The Three-Horn family nearly gets nothing to do aside from Sarah. Tria returns again, but is also reduced to a few lines. Dinah and Dana? Forget them. And Trisha never even shows up. Again, I complained a lot about all the rewriting that was done to include Tria. Now after all that damage, the movies barely do anything with her now. I had to look this up, but she's not even in Journey of the Brave. Since Tinosaurus is, her part has diminished further and further. I'm left here wondering what the point of her inclusion was. Oh wait, how silly of me to sit here and imagine that there's ever been a plan for the direction of the saga, rather than the writers just pulling whatever they want out of their butts. Although, sometimes they pull out some gems. A few comments theorized how maybe Sarah's mother and littermates died at some point during the original, but they do appear in 2. It's by the 3rd entry that their Thanos snapped out of the picture. Each of the songs are pretty forgettable, if not mildly annoying, so we can close it here. The Land Before Time, The Wisdom of Friends, while I didn't hate it, I know, hot take, I certainly wouldn't recommend it. This was a bad, terrible direction for the movies to take. But The Great Day of Flyers made me slightly more agitated while taking itself more seriously. In between 8 and 12 you go. Still, I take the Yellow Bellies over Itchy and Dill any day. So this brings us to the final Land Before Time film to this day, number 14, Journey of the Brave, which was released in 2016, a whopping 9 years after 13. That's an even longer gap than the original and Great Valley Adventure. Even if many cast members have been lost along the way for one reason or another during the 28 years worth of movies, it's impressive how many did return. Andy McAfee is back, lending her voice to Sarah, replacing Candace Hudson. Arya Curzon returns as Ducky, while Miriam Flynn is back as Littlefoot's grandmother, all sticking around since the Mysterious Island. Jeff Bennett once again plays Petrie, crushing the role since 2, and Rob Paulsen is of course still screeching into the mic as Spike. Hey, money is money, and actors gotta eat too. All of these cast members do a good job with the material. I'm sure there's a reason why they kept getting called back. If Universal eventually makes another sequel or reboot, then I hope they return. Gosh dang it, I need that Paulsen autism. For some reason, the studio got country star Reba involved in this, playing a new pteranodon named Etta, who sings what I guess is supposed to be the standout song, Looking for the Light. Speaking of music, Michael Tavera has been grinding out 3 new songs for each installment since 2, giving us a mixed bag of some of the greatest songs heard by mankind to annoying nonsense. Another new character, Wild Arms, is played by Damon Wayans Jr., Coach from New Girl, which is one of the most terminally unfunny shows I've ever seen. I don't often mention the role of Littlefoot since, despite being the lead, his role was constantly changing hands. Here he's played by one Felix Avicia. Though this also brings me to my first problem with the film, other cast members don't act nearly as well. At this point, both John Ingle and Kenneth Mars had passed away, but unlike 13, both were given more speaking roles, so they had to be replaced. I kid you not, the replacements they chose easily give the worst performances of the entire series. Each time they opened their mouths was unadulterated cringe. Now that we've brought back or replaced all the cast, okay, most of the cast, we're ready. We're ready for a last hurrah. This is it, the grand finale, the final adventure with the prehistoric pals. And it's an empty husk of a film. Seriously, this may be the most boring installment yet. 4 and 9 have some steep competition here. Well, 4 actually tried to be about something, and at least 9 had this aquatic creatures gimmick. Not a good gimmick, but still, it had one. Journey of the Brave is a lot like Journey to Big Water, in that they tell the most generic, paint-by-number, slapped-together stories. They're like AI-generated Land Before Time movies. Rather than telling a compelling story here, the mindset is just, well, what normally happens in these films. We begin with a summary of 10 with Littlefoot's father Braun, yada yada, you saw my review. Then an explanation that every year Braun and his herd come to visit Littlefoot in the Great Valley. Already, we're running into problems. For starters, you didn't need to waste all your time in a giant exposition dump. The The concept of his father visiting is simple enough that the dialogue could have organically gotten the message across. Then we bump into an ongoing problem that's been in the background but clearly highlighted here, and that none of our leads grow. Years have passed since the Great Long Neck Migration, but everyone still looks and acts the same. If Universal wanted a big comeback feature, they should have aged up the characters to show the passage of time. They could have grown up with us rather than staying stuck as little kids. At this point, if a new movie is ever announced, this is the direction they should go in. Children today largely have no idea what this franchise is, so rather than catering to an audience who isn't there, make it for the old fans. Not R or anything, but a little grown up, more mature, something with the same feel as the first. Instead, each passing movie now feels less mature. And thirdly, the other characters from the herd are erased. None of the younglings Braun adopted are present. I guess there's only one explanation. Man, these sequels really pick and choose what parts of the continuity they want to follow at any given time. It leaves audiences feeling punished for following along, since anything can be discarded at any time. Dang, we're 10 minutes in and I'm already mad! After the herd arrives, it's immediately apparent that Braun is missing, so Wild Arms reveals that a volcanic eruption separated and potentially trapped him. In typical Land Before Time fashion, the friend group sets off into the mysterious beyond against the parents' wishes to go save Braun. Well, Littlefoot originally goes alone, cause his friends refuse to join due to the dangers ahead. But this conflict was completely pointless since they joined him literally a minute into the journey. What a waste of time!
The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely not.
On their way to Fire Mountain, first the group must cross an Earth divide and then survive the... Hold up, let me check my notes. Wait, this can't be right. The land of the Featherhead Sharptooth? Ow! I'm sorry, did no one proofread this? Featherhead Sharptooth? That's what you went with? Maybe in the next movie they can fight the Cotton Hands or Railroad Raptors.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
To sneak past what I'll just call Sinotyrannus now, the crew actually rubs together a few brain cells and covers their scent with stinkweed. Immediately after, while they're still in Sinotyrannus land, they get distracted by a pool of water and wash off the stinkweed. We're 14 movies in, and they still act like morons. Heck, they were smarter as hatchlings in the original. This is what happens when you take wisdom from total imbeciles.
You see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens, Larry, when you... a stranger in the...
Anyways, because this entry has very few original ideas, we also need a subplot where the grown-ups follow in pursuit of their kids. It doesn't go anywhere or do anything, but we have to have it, I guess. Because 14 takes place after the short 2007 TV show, which I have not seen, Chopper makes a comeback along with a new Oviraptor, Ruby. Their presence in the Great Valley is never explained, so as of right now, I have no idea why they're here. And neither does the movie, because they do absolutely nothing aside from joining the quest to find the others. I've said in the past that Chopper is a favorite of mine, so I was at least a little excited to see him again, but his presence accomplishes next to nothing. Man, I can't even enjoy my favorite Nanotyrannus. Ugh, that's why this one is so boring. Well, mostly why. We're going through the motions just because. Nothing has meaning or weight or stakes. The creators looked at elements from previous movies, then hit copy and paste without thinking how to make them meaningful here. After 9 years, a new Land Before Time was slapped together without much thought. And all that time, did no ideas come to the writers? Also copied and pasted is the second act argument cliche. The protagonists just have to argue so they can dramatically and triumphantly reunite for the climax. Give me a break. Can new releases stop doing this already? In Journey of the Brave, this adds to the boredom by stalling the plot even further. I didn't pull out my timer on this one, but once again, we return to a long stretch of Littlefoot being separated from his friends, stuck in a boring cave. Ah yes, they pull only the best parts of my favorite story. This is where my brain completely checked out. Listen, movie, stop wasting the audience's time. Sure, the audience is a bunch of 5-year-olds with nothing better to do, but some of us have lives. If you want me to consume your product, then I need to feel like I'm getting something out of it. If several scenes, several subplots don't contribute anything, then either fix them in a rewrite or cut them out entirely. Treat your viewers with respect by respecting their time. Sorry, but I know you show up here in the boring cave segment. I want to give your character a chance, but yeah, hire a better agent. The others survive this sandstorm and are chased by an admittedly cool looking Carnotaurus. Too bad all of its sounds are taken straight out of the JP T-Rex. I guess this doesn't count as stealing since both franchises are owned by Universal. Before we get to the ending, another glaring issue is the animation. It's all over the place. In an average run-of-the-mill frame that's 2D drawn, it looks okay. Still about the same as when the upgrade came in 8. Over the past couple of sequels though, CGI was mixed in with varying degrees of success. Here, it's awful. Some of the worst animation in the whole series. It makes Megamind 2 look like Frozen 2. The way the 2D and 3D interact gets super spotty and unbelievable. Sometimes the layer order looks off, like they're clipping through each other. As I would have said back in 2011, epic fail. So to finish this, the kids reunite, make it to Fire Mountain, use teamwork to save Littlefoot's father, and they head back to the Great Valley. That's it. That's the whole movie. It's a total waste of time, nothing burger of an animation. A Land Before Time film was made. Yup, great. Totally worth it. This was it. This was the conclusion of a decades-long series. There's no grand finale, no epic coming-of-age character arc, no major paradigm shift, no wild one last ride. These childhood fan favorites of mine end in a resounding thud. As for now, it seems like this is all we're getting. Maybe Journey of the Brave wasn't as boring as 4, as stupid as 11, or as annoying as 13, but it is certainly the most disappointing, though it has each of those other qualities for sure. If this came out at any other time, it would have been instantly forgotten about, thrown in the wastebasket. But no, this is the end. That's unforgivable. You're going into the Shadow Realm, just above 11. So guys, this is it, my final ranking of all 14 Land Before Time movies. It's been on my bucket list forever to finish this entire series. Now, I can rest peacefully at night, watch the sunrise over a grateful universe. For a quick recap, 7 is genuinely fantastic, being well deserving of the top spot. These next 3 are each very good. 2 and 3 are goofy and childish, yet still fun to watch. 6 is okay. 9 and 8 are mediocre. Then the rest are just bad. I know what my favorites are, but once we get this low, it's anyone's game really. I can see an argument for each of these to be considered the worst. For me though, nothing has quite crushed my soul like 4. Starting off with a strong premise, it quickly devolved into the most bland, boring nonsense to grace the series. What do you guys at home think? How would you rank the Land Before Time collection? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for joining me on this fun and nostalgic journey. It's been awesome sharing my thoughts on some old favorites of mine with a great community of similarly traumatized children. I had a heck of a time making these, so thank you for watching. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, to please leave a like, subscribe, and to check out my social media. See you next time.